Let's dive right in, shall we? Jane, Emma, and Carla are working out in a gym. One of them isn't being careful enough. Who is it? It's Carla. Look, she's doing exercises while chewing gum. She could accidentally choke on it. Look at Matt and Olivia. They're both cooking dinner. Matt is using a stove and Olivia is using a grill outside. Which of them is doing something wrong? It's Matt. He forgot to turn the stove on. Noor was a married man, and his wife had a twin sister. One day, the twins decided to trick him. They both pretended to be his wife to see if he'd find the right person. Unfortunately, Noor got way too confused. Can you find his real wife? Look at the wedding picture of Noor and his wife. She has a tattoo on her right arm, so his wife must be the woman on the left who also has a tattoo on her right arm. Willem and Sean were caught by the police close to the graffiti that had just appeared on a building. One of them painted it, but both denied doing anything. Who do you think is lying? It was Willem. Look, there's some paint on her hands and shirt. Drake and Thor are both on vacation. Drake is skiing in the mountains with his girlfriend, and Thor is surfing with his best friend. Look at them now. Which one of them is in danger? Drake! He's screaming in the mountains. It's not safe because it can cause an avalanche. Now, let's find some pet owners. For example, look at these three girls. Can you figure out who the cat belongs to? Its owner is the girl on the right. Look at her legs and hands. She has some scratches, very typical for cat owners. Now, there are three people sitting in the park. See that dog playing there? Who does it belong to? To the guy in the middle. Look, he has a leash. These guys, Ian, Noah, and Luke, are basketball players. They're getting ready for the game in the changing room. Which of them is Noah? It must be this guy, the one who's not wearing shoes. Look, his shoes are in the locker with the name tag Noah. Esme was walking in the forest and got lost. She had been wandering for hours until she came across a witch's house. The witch was busy with a new spell and had a riddle for Esme. If the girl managed to solve it, the witch would let her go. If Esme failed, she'd have to stay with the witch forever. So the witch had 6 test tubes. The first 3 were empty and the last 3 were full. For the spell, full and empty tubes had to alternate. Esme had to solve this problem, but she could only touch one tube. How can she do it? Esme should take the 5th tube and pour the liquid from it into the second one. A bank was robbed on a Friday evening. There were no customers and no signs of a break-in, which meant it was one of the bank employees. The robbery was discovered by the bank director, Mr. Perry. There were 3 main suspects, Miss Cott, Mr. Mendez, and Miss Morgan. All of them denied being anywhere close to the safe, but one of them lied. Who was it? Pay attention to the footprints. These must belong to Mr. Perry. But there's another pair, which must be heels. Mr. Mendez is wearing sneakers and Miss Morgan is wearing flats. Miss Cott is the only one wearing heels. The footprints are likely to be hers, so she lied. Mrs. Nichols has 4 daughters and a son. The oldest daughter's name is April. She's an artist. The second daughter is December. She's into sports. Her third daughter is August, and she's keen on cooking. May is the fourth one, and she likes reading. Their brother Adam is the youngest in the family. How is his name connected to his sisters? The first letters of the girls' names make up the name Adam. Another family riddle for you. Ava is Bella's sister, Bella is Ella's sister, and Ella is Ruby's mother. Who is Ruby for Ava? If Ava is Bella's sister and Bella is Ella's sister, it seems like the three of them are sisters. Since Ruby is Ella's daughter, then both Ava and Bella are Ruby's aunts. So Ruby is Ava's niece. Take a look at these friends at the beach. Which of them is a robot? It must be this girl. Look, it's very hot outside and everyone is sweating, except her. That's kind of odd. The police also broke into 3 apartments. In one of them, a robot lives. Can you guess where? Look, there's a lot of machine oil in the bathroom. I'll bet it belongs to the robot. What about this photo? Can you spot a robot here? It's summer and everyone is wearing shorts and tops, except for this guy. He's wearing long pants, a long-sleeve shirt, and even gloves. He must be hiding his body. I'd say it's him. Here's a photo of people sitting in a cafe. Can you spot a robot here? It must be this lady, since she's not drinking or eating anything. Guess why? Well, robots can't eat human food, obviously. Another peek into some people's houses. One room belongs to a robot, but which one? It must be this one. Look, there's a whole bunch of bolts and spare parts in the wardrobe. Have a look at this group of friends. Can you tell which of them is a robot? It must be this guy. There's some steam and sparks coming from it. Perhaps it's a robot that needs some renovations. Aiko has won a game show, and she can finally get her prize. But there's a catch, one last task. There are 3 boxes, and she can pick one to take with her. One box is filled with $100 bills, another box contains 5-cent coins, and the last box has both bills and coins. The boxes look exactly the same, and the girl can't touch any of them. The boxes have labels. Bills on the left one, coins in the middle one, and bills and coins on the right one. All the boxes are labeled wrong. Aiko can't look inside any of the boxes, but she can ask for one sample from any box. What should Aiko's strategy be to identify the box filled with bills only? Since all the boxes are labeled wrong, Aiko should ask for a sample from the bills and coins box. If there's a bill there, then that's the one she needs. She should simply take it. If there's a coin, then it's the box with coins. In that case, the remaining boxes contain bills and bills with coins. And since the labels are incorrect, the one with bills is the one marked with the label coins. The day that is tomorrow for the day after tomorrow is as far away from Wednesday as the day that is yesterday for the day before yesterday. So, what day is it today? The tomorrow for the day after tomorrow and the yesterday for the day before yesterday are exactly 3 days away from today. If they're equally far away from Wednesday, then today is Wednesday. Meadow loved animals and she decided to get some frogs. She talked to her mom about it and they made a decision. Only one of these 3 statements is correct. 1. Meadow got at least 1 frog. 2. Meadow got at least 5 frogs. 3. Meadow got fewer than 5 frogs. How many frogs did Meadow get? So, only one statement is correct. If it's the first one, then the other 2 must be wrong. In this case, she can't get 5 or more frogs, so it doesn't work. If the second statement is correct, then she has at least 5 frogs. But then the first statement is automatically correct too. Let's say the third statement is correct, so she got fewer than 5 frogs. Automatically, the second statement is wrong. But for the first statement to be wrong too, she should have got fewer than 1 frog. So it seems that, after talking to her mom, Meadow got 0 frogs. Maybe instead, her mom got her a dog, which would at least rhyme.
Maya is a witch. She's been looking for her missing cat all morning. Can you help her? The cat is over here. Maya is heading to her best friend Sandra. She brings her something delicious. It looks square from the outside, but it looks round when opened. Also, it looks like a triangle when taken out. Can you guess the name of the food? It's a pizza. On the way, Maya decides to take a new route. She finds herself in the middle of an unfamiliar street and sees some cute little houses. All except 2 are blue. Also, all except 2 houses are red and all except 2 are purple. Can you figure out how many houses of each color are present on that street? Let's focus on the first 2 statements. We can fairly assume that 2 houses are not red and 2 houses are not blue. Now, one of those houses that are not red can be blue. Similarly, one of the non-blue houses can be red. If we remember the third statement, that all except 2 houses are purple, we can conclude that the street has only 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 purple house. Maya enters Sandra's kitchen. Can you count the exact number of frogs in this location? $13. This one is just a picture. Sandra shows Maya 2 pictures of her sisters. Ella lives alone, while Elsa lives with her fiancé. Can you guess which one is Elsa? It's the first lady. She has 2 towels in her bathroom, while Ella only has 1. Maya asks Sandra, can you make the sum of 60 by using 3 times the same number? Sandra replies, easy, 20 plus 20 plus 20. But there's one more way to do so. Can you figure it out? The other way is 55 plus 5. Maya needs help in her magic shop, so she invites Harry for a job interview. When Harry arrives, he looks pretty nervous. So Maya offers him some hot coffee. She puts the cup in front of him and asks, "What's before you?" Harry replies, "Tea." After hearing the answer, Maya hires this candidate immediately. Can you guess why? If the answer was coffee, Maya would never have asked such an easy question. She meant the alphabet U, the letter T, comes before a U. That's why Maya is impressed by Harry's answer. Harry shows Maya 3 cards from a standard deck face down. He says, to the left of the queen, there are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the jack are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the club, there are 1 or 2 diamonds. To the left of the diamond are 1 or 2 diamonds. Can you guess what the 3 cards are? The Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, and Queen of Diamonds, or Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and Queen of Diamonds. Maya tells Harry, "Let me show you some focus pocus too. I can make the number 1 disappear by adding something to it. Can you guess how?" She needs to add a letter G before 1, and it will be gone. Simple. Maya leaves her magic shop to get some lunch. In a while, she returns and finds Harry unconscious on the floor in the storage room. She calls doctors and questions 3 persons standing nearby. Billy says, "I was checking out the shelf with love potions when I heard weird noises from the storage. But I didn't bother. I thought Harry just dropped some stuff." Scarlet says, "I came here to buy the missing ingredient for my revenge potion. I don't have time for this." And Bella says, "I came here for red candles, but the seller was absent." Can you guess what happened here? Take a look at Scarlet's recipe. The missing ingredient is a spider. Harry got bitten by a venomous spider when he tried to get it out of this broken jar. There's a tiny bite on his right arm. Next Sunday, Maya receives a call from Sandra at 7 a.m. Sandra is very excited because she had found a recipe for an immortality potion in her library. Maya arrives at Sandra's house at 10 a.m. and finds her lying unconscious on the floor. All her books are gone. Maya calls the police. The detective arrives immediately and questions 3 suspects. Sandra's husband, Frank, says, "I'm a school teacher. I haven't been home all morning because I had 4 classes on my schedule." Shelley, the housekeeper, says, "I had a day off and spent time with my boyfriend." And Bob, the gardener, says, "I've been planting roses in the backyard all morning. I haven't even entered the house yet." After hearing all 3 stories, the detective knows exactly who's a liar. What about you? Frank is lying. He said he'd been at school, but schools are closed on Sundays. Thankfully, Maya saved a screenshot with the recipe on her phone. Now she's making a potion for Sandra. Unfortunately, the last 4 ingredients in the recipe are encoded. Here's the first one. It's a fruit that is always sad. Can you figure it out? It's a blueberry. Also, she needs to add something that has an ear but cannot hear. Any ideas what it might be? Corn. The next one is a cheese that is made backward. Eat 'em. And the final ingredient is a room that you can eat. Maya needs to add a mushroom. Maya is visiting Sandra in the hospital. She gives her the magic potion, and Sandra gets well immediately. On the way back, Maya meets 3 doctors in the lobby, but only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? The first doctor is wearing a dirty coat, but it doesn't prove that he's a fake. Meanwhile, this handsome bearded doctor has a picture of a woman on his badge, which means that he had stolen someone else's pass. As for the third person, she's wearing colorful nail extensions, which is against common sanitary rules, so she can't be a doctor. Maya runs away from the imposters and finds herself in a creepy abandoned part of the hospital. Finally, she sees 3 doors, but each door is hiding some danger. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first door. There's a wicked wizard waiting for Maya behind the second door. And there's a magical portal leading to a black hole behind the third door. Can you help Maya choose the safest option to escape? She should choose the first door. Look out the window. It's a new moon. Werewolves are only dangerous on a full moon. Maya escapes successfully and calls her sister Wendy, who lives in a village. Wendy says, "Come over and we'll figure it out." Maya boards a train. Maya notices these 4 passengers. One of them is a famous thief. Can you guess who? This elegant lady is a thief. The first guy is reading about her crimes in his newspaper. Finally, Maya arrives at Wendy's house. She spots one odd detail about this place right away. Can you see it too? It's too risky to leave the iron in such a dangerous position. Maya enters the living room and spots 2 weird details. What about you? Take a closer look at the calendar. There's no June 31st. Also, this chair only has 3 legs. Maya starts to suspect that Wendy is under a spell. To test her logical thinking, she offers her this riddle. There are 8 brothers that look alike. They're considered to be weak, yet they protect the king in every battle. If they move ahead, they never turn back. Who are they? Wendy failed to crack this riddle. What about you? The 8 brothers are pawns in the chess game. After a long search, Maya finds a spell that will break all black magic, but it's locked in this safe that requires a 7-digit code. Can you help Maya open the safe? There are exactly 7 books on the shelf above the safe. It's a hint. Each book has a Roman numeral on its spine. So, the code is 2113542.
There was once a magical forest where 32 mermaids, 43 elves, 26 unicorns, and 57 fairies lived. The forest got cursed, and life there got disrupted. The mermaids started living on dry land, forcing the elves to move out. The elves had to move to the territories of the unicorns. The unicorns started to lose their magic powers and needed fairy dust to sustain themselves. So, fairies had to work overtime and were exhausted. There are 4 spells. One will make elves disappear. The second will make mermaids move to the territories of unicorns instead of elves. The third one will heal the species, but only those with an even number of creatures. The fourth will turn unicorns into fairies. Which one should you use? You should use the third one. The mermaids and unicorns are the species that need to be healed, and both have an even number of creatures. Mrs. Collins has 5 daughters: Hannah, Elle, Eve, Anna, and Ava. What is special about their names? They all have palindromic names, meaning they're the same when you read them from left to right and from right to left. Adam was traveling around the world when he found himself in a little kingdom. He didn't have a map or the internet. He was just wandering around. Also, he couldn't read any signs because he didn't know the language. Adam walked into a beautiful castle and ran into 2 girls. It turned out that it was the castle of the royal family, and no one was allowed in there. The girls agreed not to report him, but only if he guessed which one of them was the princess. Can you help him? Look at the wall. There's a painting of the queen and her daughter. She looks exactly like the girl on the right. I bet she's the princess. Genevieve is a time traveler, and she got to ancient Greece. The girl was so mesmerized by everything that she forgot to be careful and blend in. So, she was captured and taken to the emperor. He could tell that Genevieve wasn't from his land, so he started to interrogate her but didn't believe a single word. Still, he was a nice person, so he gave Genevieve a chance to escape.
Yes!
There were 3 young women in front of her. If she guessed which one of them was his daughter, she'd be set free. Can you help Genevieve? Look, this girl has the exact same necklace as the emperor. It must be his daughter. People invented the time machine, and now there are criminals traveling in time and disrupting time flow. The time police tried to catch the imposters, and they need your help. Look at this picture. Do you see the time traveler? It's this dude here. Look at his fancy modern haircut. Back in that era, people didn't have barber shops.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Wild West. Do you see the time traveler here? It must be this person, the one wearing modern sneakers. The next stop is ancient Egypt. Take a very close look and find someone who doesn't belong here. What is this girl wearing? A tank top and shorts? No, she's not from here. Okay, we have to catch some more. For example, here, do you see anything suspicious? I don't think people had cell phones back then. This is the imposter. Okay, another Stone Age image for you. Who doesn't fit in here? This girl looks like a Stone Ager, but she's reading a book. There were no books back then.
Hello.
Great, there's just one last time traveler to catch, and they're in the Middle Ages. Look closely and tell me who you think it is. This guy is wearing headphones. Yeah, that's him.
Oh my god!
Mr. Thompson was in his house reading a newspaper when he heard some noise outside. He walked out and saw that someone had crashed into his car. He asked his neighbors what they'd been doing. Scarlett said that she'd been at home playing video games. Charles said that he'd just come back after a walk with his dog. Tessa said that she'd been gardening behind her house. Who lied? It must be Tessa. She doesn't have any gardening tools with her. And she isn't dressed properly for gardening. Serena was having a party in her house, and she invited all her classmates. In the middle of the party, the lights went off for a couple of minutes. When the light came back on, Serena realized that her parents' expensive vase covered in diamonds had been stolen. 3 people seemed suspicious to her. Tatum said, "I was in the bathroom." Quinn said, "I didn't steal anything. I didn't even know the vase was so expensive." Dean said, "When the lights went off, I fell into the pool and I was pretty busy getting out." Who lied? Dean, for sure. If he had fallen into the pool, he'd be all wet, but his clothes are completely dry. In a little town, someone stole a bucket of chicken wings from a local store. 3 customers were the main suspects. Mr. Cook was interrogated at work.
Hello.
I was in a rush and just got something for lunch. I didn't steal anything.
Mrs. Bailey was at home making breakfast. I only got some fresh vegetables. My family is vegan.
What?
Dale, a college student, was in the park studying. I got my sandwich and left. I didn't know anything about the theft. Who lied? Mrs. Bailey. She said her family was vegan, but she has cheese and cow milk on the table. Vegans don't eat any of that. In a parallel universe, it's only allowed to have fun and eat candy. No one studies or does anything useful. Mr. Relum came back home after shopping with her friends all day and asked her daughters what they had been doing.
I was eating popcorn and binge watching a TV show,
said Hannah.
I was playing soccer with my friends,
said Elle. I was at the beach with some friends, said Ava. Who lied? It must be Hannah. Look, she hasn't even started her popcorn, and there's also a book under her bed. Elle's soccer team played 6 matches in the season. They won 2, drew 2, and lost 2. In total, they conceded 2 goals and scored 3. What are the results of all 6 matches? Every time they lost, they must have conceded at least 1 goal. They lost 2 matches and conceded 2 goals, which means they conceded 1 goal each time. The scores of these matches must be 0-1. We're out of conceded goals, so the scores of the 2 drawn matches should be 0-0. Now, we're only left with 3 goals and 2 winning games. So, in one game, they must have won with a score of 1-0, and in the other, with a score of 2-0. Ava was out partying with her friend all week, so her room is a complete mess now. It's Friday, and she's planning to go on a picnic with her best friend. She needs her bag, her sunglasses, and her cell phone. Can you help her find them? Here they are. Great job. It's Saturday, and Ava still hasn't had time to clean. Now she's heading to her classmate's place for a pool party. She needs her swimsuit, her necklace, and her heels. Can you find them? Yes, they're all here. Ava is getting ready and realizes that a lot of her stuff isn't in the bathroom. She remembers she lent it to Elle. Elle says that the stuff is in her room, which is, of course, also a mess. Can you help Ava find her lipstick, her hairdryer, and her hairbrush? Here they are. Did you find them all? Elle is getting ready for her soccer practice. She needs her football, her sneakers, and her lunchbox. Where are they? They're all right here. Hannah returned home after a short walk and immediately noticed that her favorite bracelet was gone. She knew that Ava loved it and that she was getting ready for a party, so she was the main suspect. Hannah ran into Ava in the bathroom and demanded her bracelet back.
I was taking a shower while you were gone and then getting dressed without leaving the bathroom. I wouldn't have had any time to take your bracelet.
Hannah knew that Ava lied. How? If Ava had really taken a shower, the bathroom mirror would be misted. But look, it's all clear.
Vicky is having a reality show audition today. But first, she needs to fix her car quickly to get there. 3 mechanics offer their help, but 2 of them are fake. Can you spot who exactly? The first person is wearing an expensive watch. It's too risky to wear them while working. And the third person's nails are way too long for this job, so Vicky should choose the second guy. Vicky has just had an amazing audition. The manager says, and finally, one last question. Can you spot the exact center of this table? How should Vicky answer this question? Vicky should put her finger confidently at the supposed center of the table and say, "This is the center point." Afterwards, the manager may ask, "How do you know if this is the exact center?" In this case, Vicky can reply, "Your last question was the previous one, so I don't have to answer further." The manager just wanted to check how attentive Vicky is. The reality show takes place on an island. Vicky gets her first task. She needs to find a village with other contestants using this map. Vicky has to enter the maze at the left bottom and leave it through the exit point. There are 2 rules. She can go through one circle more than once, and she can move only by exchanging green and yellow circles. Can you help Vicky out? Here's the right way out. Vicky breaks through the maze and finds herself in a creepy room. The door behind her slams shut. To move on to the next level of the game, Vicky has to unlock this door. Can you help her crack this 7-digit code? There's an inscription on the door which says, "The 7 C's." Vicky should try to think literally and enter 7 C's. Vicky opens the door and continues her journey. There are 3 ways to reach the village, but each path is hiding some danger. There's a creepy mummy hiding in the forest on the first path. The second path leads through a castle of a spooky vampire. And there's a hungry zombie waiting on the third road. Can you help Vicky choose the safest option? She should take the second path. The sun is shining, which means the vampire is sleeping. Finally, Vicky reaches the village, and here's her next task. Vicky and Nikki must hang on this beam for 5 minutes. Vicky has a fire under her legs, while Nikki has metal spikes that are moving randomly underneath him. Can you predict who's more likely to win? Vicky, take a closer look at the fire. There's a kerosene barrel under her feet, so the fire will go out in 20 seconds. To find treasures, Vicky has to unlock the final door. She needs to push one of these 4 buttons. But she only has 1 chance. What would you suggest? Vicky has to choose the red button. The symbols on the door are hints. Each of the 4 products can be red colored. After all the adventures, Vicky is finally having lunch. Can you spot anything odd here? Hello! Vicky gets a bed in a dormitory room. She will share it with 4 other contestants. Vicky drops her backpack on the bed and goes to the toilet. In a few minutes, she returns and finds out that someone had stolen her phone. Vicky questions all her roommates. Sam says, "I had a meeting in the lobby. My friend can confirm that." Fiona says, "I was washing my hair in the shower, so I didn't see or hear anything." Diana says, "I spent the last 20 minutes at the laundromat. I came back just now." And Mia says, "Sorry, I was doing exercises on the balcony, so I didn't watch your stuff." Who's lying? Fiona. She said she had just washed her hair, but her curls are dry. The Greens' housemaid Stacy forgets to close the window at night. In the morning, she finds out that some valuables had been stolen. Stacy calls the police. The detective checks the crime scene and puts together a list of all stolen items. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell what was stolen? The candlestick, music box, and vase. The detective interviews the Greens' neighbors. He asks, "Did you see anything suspicious last night?" Maya replies, "Yes, I saw a man in a black hat." Peter says, "I saw a suspicious woman with a big box by the Greens' house." Liam says, "I saw someone dressed as a dragon and another guy with a hiking backpack." And Will says, "I saw a strange masked man near the house 20 minutes after the Greens went to bed." Who seems suspicious? Will. How did he know when the family went to bed? Bob's parents are going on vacation for 2 weeks and leave him alone. His father says, "Bobby, be very careful. No parties at home." But Bob throws parties almost every night. One night, his friends notice a car and yell, "Looks like your dad's car is here, bro!" All the guests clean up the mess as quickly as they can and hide. Parents arrive early and realize that Bob had a party. How? There are 4 joysticks and a pizza slice under the sofa. Spelled forwards, it's what you do every day. Spelled backwards, it's something you hate. Can you guess this word? The correct answer is live. This is Mary. All her hats are white except 2. Also, all her hats are red except 2. And all her hats are black except 2. How many hats does Mary have? Just 3. One of each color. Kate enters the local supermarket to get some fruits. There's an intelligent glass pane installed in the fridge. This glass pane allows cherries and apples to pass through. At the same time, it keeps grapes and melons inside. Can you figure out which rule the glass pane is following? The glass pane only allows the fruits with double letters in their names to pass through. Can you spot anything odd in this picture? Too cool for winter. Kelly visits her bestie, Sarah, but Sarah is crying. Kelly asks, "What happened?" Sarah doesn't say anything. She just shows Kelly a phone chat with her boyfriend. Can you tell what made Sarah so upset? He lied to Sarah about his dog's illness to hang out elsewhere. Take a look at the reflection in his sunglasses. Seems like he's chilling at the beach. Billy enters a dining room. Right away, he spots that someone had prepared a prank. What about you? This chair only has 3 legs. Lily gets a job as a flight attendant. This is her first flight from Hawaii to Mexico City. She's greeting the guests in the aircraft, but 3 passengers on the flight are not humans. Can you spot who? This lady doesn't cast a shadow, therefore she's not a real human. And this one is dressed up too warmly for the hot weather. The guy over here is drinking a weird green liquid with bugs, which is kinda cringy for real human beings. Jill is walking in the park. Suddenly, a street dealer in a mask offers her an original golden watch for $20. Jill agrees, pays, and puts it on right away. Soon, 3 people approach Jill to claim the watch. Mike says, "This watch has belonged to my family for ages. I lost it near the ice cream van." Sheila says, "Someone stole my golden watch today. I was sitting on a ladder and fell asleep for a while. When I woke up, the watch was gone." Stefan says, "I also lost my watch today. I think I dropped it on the 3rd floor of this coffee shop." Can you help Jill return the watch to its actual owner? The coffee shop doesn't have the third floor, and Mike's hand tattoo is identical to the dealer's, so it's the same person. So the watch belongs to Sheila. A mad scientist caught Larry and locked him in a small room. There were no windows, and the door was locked. But there was a note on the table. It was from the scientist. JFMAM ... JASOND. Guess the missing letter, and I'll set you free. "10 minutes later, Larry was already running away from the strange place. He managed to figure out that the missing letter was J. Those were the first letters of the months of the year, from January to December. And the sixth letter, J, stood for June. There are two villages next to each other. People who always tell the truth live in one of them. Liars live in the other. The inhabitants of the villages often visit each other. You're in one of the villages, but you don't know which one it is. What question should you ask a passerby to find out where you are? Ask them, are you a guest here? If they answer yes, you're in the village of liars. If they say no, you're in the village where honest people live. Brian came to his senses on the floor in his living room. He was unharmed, but couldn't remember a thing. Suddenly, two young women entered the house. They looked exactly the same. When they found out what had happened, each of them started to claim that Brian was her husband. Can you help the guy figure out which of the women is his real wife? It's the woman on the left. She has a tattoo on the same arm as the girl in the wedding photo. Megan was 21 on her last birthday, but she's going to be 23 on her next one. How is it possible? It's Megan's 22nd birthday today. Sandra's boyfriend went on a business trip to New York. Soon, the girl got a weird text message from him. It looked like this: NHAPPY. What did Sandra's boyfriend want to say? The message means, unhappy without you. Now how about solving this Rebus puzzle? NEA, friended. What can it mean? It's a friend in need. And one more for you. Man, bored. It's man overboard. Great job. Now let's see how attentive you are. Look at this image. Who's not from Earth? Must be the guy on the right. The guy on the left is only wearing a Halloween costume. Look at his hazel eyes. They seem to be absolutely human. And now look at the eyes of the guy on the right. Ugh, creepy. How about this image? Can you spot anyone who doesn't look like us? Earthlings? It's the lady on the left. Have you noticed a couple of extra eyes hiding in her hair? These drivers are about to take part in a race. Which of them is from another planet? That driver over there. He seems to be leaving a trail of slime behind him. Okay, you have a sharp eye. But is it sharp enough to crack the following riddles? A rabbit is hiding somewhere among these mushrooms. Can you spot it? It chose one of the largest mushrooms to hide behind. At first sight, there's nothing unusual here. But what if you examine the picture more attentively? Right, no one uses a soccer ball to play basketball. Mark bought a new keyboard, but the seller fooled the guy and gave him a fake one. Can you find the proof? The keyboard has 2 8s, but no 9s. A dog runs away from its master and is now hiding somewhere among these bowls. Help the worried owner find its pooch. Gotcha! Similar, but not the same. How good are you at math? Let's figure it out. How much will a 50-degree angle measure if you look at it through a microscope that magnifies 5 times? The angle won't change. It'll still be 50 degrees. A man came to a fruit market to sell watermelons. After he sold half of them and half of a watermelon, he saw he had 1 watermelon left. How many watermelons did he bring to the market? He came there with 3 watermelons. There are 100 books on a shelf. To count off 10 of them, you'll need 10 seconds. How much time will you spend counting off 70 books? It'll take you 30 seconds. You'll need this time to count off 30 books, and the rest will make 70. Liza worked as a nurse in a hospital. One day she came to make injections. After these injections, it was prohibited to get up. Liza warned the patients and left. But when she came back, she understood that one of the patients had actually got up while she'd been away. Who was it? And how did she figure it out? It's the guy in the middle. There was a plate with some cookies near his bed. But now, the same plate, but empty, is on the table in the corner. At around 7 p.m., Melissa was walking in the park. Suddenly, she saw a guy lying on the ground. His bike was nearby, in the bushes. Melissa helped him to sit up, and he told her, "I was cycling through the park when someone threw a stone at me. I fell down and blacked out." Melissa had 4 suspects. Hannah said she'd been on a morning run and hadn't seen anything. Ryan said he'd taken his dog for a walk, and they had been in another part of the park. And Michael and Laura said they'd come to have a picnic and had been busy with food. Who is lying? Hannah, it's evening. How could she have her morning run? Detective Robbins was walking along the street when he heard the sound of glass shattering. He saw a large crowd gathering near the broken window of a jewelry store. The detective ran up to the store owner. "Has anything been stolen?" The man said he hadn't understood yet. Suddenly, Robbins rushed away. Why? The store window was broken to distract passersby. Meanwhile, this guy stole a wallet from the man in a suit. At first, the wallet was in the man's pocket. Now, the thief is rushing away, the wallet in his hand. 2 cars, red and black, are moving along the same highway. The red car is traveling at a speed that's twice higher than that of the black car. They both started at the same time, and still, after some time on the road, the 2 cars come across each other. How is it possible? The cars were moving toward each other. Mark was going to an important business meeting, and he was driving quite fast. Unfortunately, the man got into a car accident. Both he and the other driver were okay. but the cars were badly damaged. Mark called the police. When they arrived, Mark explained the situation. I was driving fast, but I wasn't breaking any rules. Suddenly, a car pulled out in front of me. I didn't have enough time to brake. The other driver exclaimed, "It's your fault! I was driving slowly, talking to my wife about our weekend plans, and then you appeared out of nowhere." The police officers immediately understood who was responsible for the accident. And you? It was the other driver. He was alone in his car. It means he was talking to his wife on the phone, which is illegal. Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note in a pen. Find out how to get 200 out of 188 using just one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew the line to divide 188 horizontally. This way, he got 100 and 100. One afternoon, all cash was stolen from a small cafe on the beach. The police had 4 suspects. All of them claimed they hadn't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them attentively and try to figure out who's the thief. It's the guy with a cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe since it's the only one on the beach. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place? Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. What happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, "Sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all." Bobby says, "I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag." And Nina says, "I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone?" Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots one witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these two billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, "This guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water." The waitress says, "He looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass." The manager says, "He called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation." And the cleaner says, "I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection." Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are coworkers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes 2. Are they identical? There are 3 differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. 3 drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen, and the 3rd driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the 2nd car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out.
Just look at this. A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it. Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas. But each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who is lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. Detective Harris was walking along the street when he heard some noise. He decided to check out what had happened. It turned out that some man had grabbed an elderly lady's bag and run away. The detective ran in the direction the witnesses showed him. After he turned the corner, he saw 3 doors. He knocked on the first one. The apartment owner, Patrick, opened the door. The man told the detective he'd just returned from a long run. Another man, Jerry, opened the second door. He said he'd been playing basketball behind his house. The third apartment belonged to Raymond, a musician. He had just finished composing a new piece of music. After talking to all these people, Detective Harris understood who the criminal was. Have you figured it out? The thief is Jerry. He claimed he'd been playing basketball, but he was holding a football while talking to the detective. Sarah and her sister Mary were doing some shopping. When they were leaving a grocery store, Sarah pointed at some young man and exclaimed, "Look, my nephew is over there!" Her sister replied, "Oh right, but it's not my nephew." How is it possible? The young man is Mary's son. Gemma returned from Asia and brought a precious porcelain figurine. She organized a party and invited all her friends to tell them about her journey. They had a great time, but after her friends left, the woman realized the figurine had disappeared. She called the police and showed them the photo she had taken at the party. One of the officers immediately realized who had stolen the figurine. Did you understand it too? It was this girl. She hid the figurine under her hat. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon, he had 3 suspects. Walter said he'd spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who was lying. Do you know it too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Now, look at these hands and try to figure out which person is married. If you look at the first hand attentively, you'll realize it doesn't belong to a grown-up person. On the second hand, there is a mark left by a ring, but there's no ring itself. It must mean that the person is no longer married. On the third hand, there's no ring either, but it's the right hand, and we wear wedding rings on the left hand. So out of these 3, this person is most likely to be married. Okay, the next challenge is for you. Look at these 3 men. They're at the airport. Which of these guys is married? All of these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But pay attention to the man sitting on the bench. On his ticket, it's written, "Family discount." So, he must be the one who's married. Now look at this picture attentively. Does anything strike you as strange? It's winter, but butterflies are flying around the snowman. Now, try to figure out what's wrong with this image. It's the snowman again. Instead of a carrot, his nose is made of broccoli. And the last image for you to analyze. Why does the guy on the right need ski poles if he's going to snowboard? Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts will the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He'll need 6 attempts at the most, 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key and 2 remaining doors, and just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Alicia's mom asked the girl to do some grocery shopping. She gave her a shopping list and her bank card. But the woman knew her daughter was very absent-minded. That's why she gave Alicia a small note in case she forgot the card's PIN number. When the girl was at the register, she realized she had indeed forgotten the PIN. Alicia pulled the note out of her pocket and immediately remembered the code. Can you figure out what it was if the note had a fly, a cat, a person, and a snake drawn on it? The PIN was 6420. Alicia just had to count the number of legs of each creature. A fancy restaurant in Los Angeles was offering a promotional deal. A married couple could eat at the restaurant for half price on their anniversary. To prevent scams, the couple would need proof of their wedding date. On a Thursday evening, a couple entered the restaurant and claimed it was their anniversary, but they didn't have any proof. The restaurant manager was called to speak with the couple. When the manager asked to hear about their wedding day, the wife said, "Oh, it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Birds were chirping and flowers were in full bloom." After nearly 10 minutes of ranting, she told the manager that today was their 28th wedding anniversary.
"How lovely," the manager said. "However, you do not qualify for the discount. Today is not your anniversary. You are a liar."
How did the manager know it wasn't their anniversary? The calendar repeats itself every 28 years. So if they were married on a Sunday 28 years ago, the day they came to the restaurant would also have to be a Sunday. But since it was a Thursday, the manager knew they were lying. John called the police to report that his friend Mark had disappeared. He explained that 2 weeks earlier, he had offered Mark to live in his beach house in Miami. He wanted his friend to enjoy some summer heat. But when John returned from a half-month-long business trip to Chile, he found out that Mark was missing. The police listened to John's story and understood the man was lying. How did they figure it out? If it was summer in Miami, it was winter in Chile. And still, John came back suntanned. It means he hadn't been to Chile. Maya was in the gym doing the workout her personal trainer had prepared for her. It was tougher and longer than her usual ones. Exhausted, Maya returned to the changing room only to find her expensive bag gone.
Oh no!
She immediately called the police. They had 3 suspects. Maya's trainer said that he had been preparing a new program for his clients. Emma, another gym goer, said she had been running on a treadmill for 2 hours. The cleaner said he had been washing the swimming pool. Who took Maya's bag? It was her trainer. He knew Maya was going to have a long workout and wouldn't return to the changing room anytime soon.
James is a famous vlogger.
Yes.
He arrives at an abandoned haunted castle to film a video.
Oh.
James hasn't even entered the house yet, but he has already spotted 5 weird things about this place and freaked out. Can you see them too? These footprints on the ground are too giant. It's winter, but this cherry tree is blooming. It should be the moon in the sky, not Saturn. Also, this black cat has 4 paws, but leaves footprints from only 3. James walks around the castle and gets lost in the garden maze. But in a while, he arrives at the front doors. Can you guess which way brought James here? Here's the only way to cross the maze. Unfortunately, the doors are locked. James needs to enter a 4-digit code. Can you find any clues? Take a closer look at the door. There are 4 stars painted on it. The first one has 5 rays, the second has 4 rays, the third one, 9, and finally, the fourth one has 7 rays. Therefore, the correct code is 5497. James enters the castle. It's very dark. Suddenly, someone grabs his camera and runs away to the library. James follows the thief. In the library, he faces a werewolf, a vampire, and a lady ghost. James questions them all. The werewolf says, "I only come here for magic books to find a way to become human again. I'm not involved in the robbery." The lady ghost says, "Someone spilled cherry juice on my favorite dress. I spent an hour in the bathroom trying to clean it. I didn't see anything suspicious." And the vampire says, "It's early evening now. I got up just a minute ago. Why would I need your camera anyway?" Who is lying? You cannot spill juice on a ghost. Therefore, she's lying. James enters another creepy room full of mirrors, but only one of them is fake. Can you help James find his real reflection? Only the second mirror shows the truth.
Oh, yeah.
James enters the toilet room, but all cabins are occupied. Can you spot a zombie among the visitors? The zombie is behind the left door. See the hands? They are greenish. Suddenly, James finds an invitation card for a party. The castle owner, Luna, is having a birthday. James enters the main hall and sees 7 pretty witches sitting by the table. All look very similar, but each witch is wearing an outfit of a different color. It's very hard to tell who's the birthday lady, but after a couple of seconds, James approaches one of the witches, shakes her hand, and says, "Thank you for inviting me over, Luna." How did he guess? Take a look at these gifts. Each witch brought a box wrapped in the color of her outfit, but the green box is absent because Luna is wearing the green dress. Luna leads James to a company of 4 ghosts and says, "Welcome, stranger, meet my granny." Can you help James find out Luna's actual grandmother? It's the third ghost. She's wearing the same brooch as Luna. One of the witches, Zelda, likes James and wants to impress him. She shows him some pictures of her fabulous vacation, but James spots fake right away. How? Take a look at the angle of the shadows in this picture. It's obvious that Zelda has photoshopped herself over this fancy beach view. In the middle of the party, Luna gets a message from her boyfriend, Carl. He lives alone only 20 minutes away from the castle. Here's what he sends. "Sorry for being late, honey. I'm still working." Luna yells, "Liar!" and blocks him. Why? It's because of his selfie. There's a lipstick mark on the glass in the kitchen. Luna breaks up with Carl and uses a magic spell to teleport 3 handsome wizards to her dinner. When they arrive, Luna asks them just one question. "Do you guys have a girlfriend?" Magnus replies, "Lady, I work around the clock. I'm too busy for romance." Tristan says, "Oh no, I've never had any serious relationships." Ambrose replies, "Nah, I'm too picky. I'm still searching for the one." 2 guys are lying. Can you guess who? Magnus. There's a romantic tattoo with a female name on his chest. And Tristan. He has a tan line around his ring finger. Therefore, he had been wearing a wedding ring. James goes to the kitchen to help Luna with coffee. He spots 3 odd things right away.
Oh.
Can you see them too? The candle flame painted on the canvas is moving. There's a zombie hiding on the shelf behind the jars. And also Luna puts salt in the coffee pot. Luna comes back to the hall and sees that someone had scratched her favorite oil painting on the wall. She interrogates 4 suspects among her guests. Magnus says, "Whoa, I haven't even noticed the painting." Sophia says, "Sorry, I was having a phone call." Zelda says, "No worries, honey. I can paint you a new one better than this." And Glinda says, "I was in the bathroom. I don't know who ruined the painting. Who is guilty?" Glinda. Her nail polish has the same color as the scratches on the painting. Luna takes James to the garden and turns him into stone. Can you find the enchanted James among these 3 statues? There shouldn't be any grass under a real statue. Meanwhile, James has only been a stone for a few minutes. Therefore, we need to choose the only statue with grass underneath. James asks Luna to let him go. She says, "Okay, but first, you should crack my riddle. If I had 3 watermelons and 4 oranges in one hand, and 4 watermelons and 3 oranges in the other hand, what would I have?" Can you help James figure it out? To solve this riddle, we need to think literally. The correct answer is, she would have very large hands. James wakes up in a dusty basement. He wanders around and finds 3 doors, but each way is guarded by a creepy magical creature. A hungry vampire is hiding behind the first door, and a fire-breathing dragon is waiting behind the second door. And there's a giant mutant rat behind the third door. Can you help James choose the best option? James should choose the first door. Take a look at the window. It's already dawn, which means the vampire is sleeping. James gets out of the castle and walks home. Suddenly, he spots a suspicious guy with a huge bag nearby a luxurious mansion. James decides to question the guy. He says it was his house, and he carried his old stuff to give it away for charity. James calls the police right away. Why? Take a look at the window. The glass is broken, and the guy's coat is torn. Why would he need to leave his own house through the broken window? Therefore, he's probably a thief. Finally, James arrives home. He checks his emails and finds 3 letters from different witches. Linda offers him to study at her magic school. Zelda invites James to visit her villa in Antarctica. And Sophia invites him on a date. But only one of these emails isn't fake. Can you find it? Linda's email is just spam. She doesn't mention his name in the message, and it also contains a suspicious link. Zelda sends him a picture of her villa, but it's clearly not in Antarctica, so only Sophia's email is real. James agrees to go on a date. He arrives at the meeting point and faces not 1 Sophia, but 5. Unfortunately, a wicked wizard had cloned her. He tells James, "You only have 1 chance to choose the real Sophia. If you succeed, I'm gonna let her go. Can you help James?" The first lady has gills, so she's probably fake. The second one's teeth are too sketchy. The 4th Sophia has 2 left hands, and the 5th one has lilac eyes, while the real Sophia's eyes are green. Therefore, James should choose the 3rd lady.
A rich lady booked into one of the best hotels in the city. When she got her key, she noticed that her bags had been stolen.
Oh no!
The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Mr. Kramer said, "I'm going to see my friends now. I've spent the day in my room." Mrs. Harrelson said, "I wouldn't steal anything. I'm rich." Mr. Scott said, "I've been walking my dog and have just returned. I know nothing about it. Who is the criminal?" Have you noticed the sign, "No pets allowed," on the hotel door? This hotel has a no pets policy, so Mr. Scott couldn't walk his dog. They wouldn't have checked him in with one. Riley is studying abroad and has a boyfriend her family doesn't know about. Her parents don't approve of dating until she graduates. Riley spent the semester break with her boyfriend on his family's farm, but she told her parents that she had been in New York with her friends. When her mother asked for photos, Riley photoshopped herself into one of her friends' photos. When her mom saw the photos, she understood that Riley had lied. How? Look, Riley is the only person in the photo who doesn't have a reflection in the mirror behind. This is what gave her away. Mrs. Brown is the owner of an apartment building with a no-pet policy. Not even fish are allowed. One night she hears a dog barking on the floor above her apartment. The next day she inspects 2 apartments upstairs. In which apartment does the dog live? Look, there is a dog leash hanging in this apartment. It must be the one. Even after the tenant with the dog had moved out, Mrs. Brown kept hearing some barking. She thought it was phantom noises, but a week later she decided to check 2 more apartments. Take a close look at them and try to figure out if a dog lives one of them. Yes, a dog lives in this apartment. Look, there is a dog hair all over the bed. Jane came home from school, looking forward to eating her favorite waffles she had prepared in this morning. Unfortunately, someone had eaten half of them. Furious, she questioned 2 people in the house, her friend and her dad. Both of them were sitting at the kitchen table. Both denied having touched her food. Who lied? Her father lied. Look, there are waffle crumbs in his mustache. Alice participated in a game show and she won 3 exclusive gifts. A Dolce & Gabbana wallet, a backpack from Dior, and a Tesla. But here is a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between the original and the replica. Can you help her pick the correct prizes? Here are 2 Dolce & Gabbana wallets. One of them is the original, and the other is a replica. Which one should Alice choose? This one, it has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now look at these seemingly identical backpacks. Only one of them is the original Dior bag. Which one? This one. This logo is correct. And finally, the car. Let's see if you remember the Tesla logo. Yes, this is the one. Great job! Daniela graduated from FBA Academy and applied for a job at several secret agencies. She got an acceptance letter from one of them, but it didn't contain any instructions. In the end, there was a number. She tried to call it, but it turned out it didn't exist. Take a look at the acceptance letter. Can you help Daniela figure it out? It's a secret message, of course, and figuring it out is one of the tasks. Daniela should pay attention to the highlighted words. Then, from each of them, she should take the letter that corresponds with the number at the bottom of the page. If she does it, she'll see Small Lake at 11. Daniela got the job, and now she's on her first case. Amelia's cat was stolen, and she asked Daniela to find it. Daniela paid a visit to several neighbors and questioned them. Jake said, "I have 2 dogs. I wouldn't steal a cat." Mike said, "I don't like animals, so I'd never get a pet." And Jessica said, "I'm not even allowed to have pets in this apartment." Who stole Amelia's cat? Have you noticed a cat house in Mike's apartment? Why does he have it if he doesn't like pets? He must be the catnapper. Another day, another crime. Daniela was following a shoplifter who had stolen an expensive purse from a Louis Vuitton store. Suddenly, the criminal entered a hospital and disappeared into the crowd. Daniela went inside. She saw 3 visitors. One of them must be the shoplifter pretending to be a patient. Can you tell who it is? It must be this woman. That young woman is pregnant, and this one is wearing high heels, so she wouldn't have been able to run fast. On Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe, and Daniela arrived to investigate. She had 3 suspects. John said, "I was in my office all morning because I needed to do some urgent work." Elizabeth said, "I was drinking my morning coffee in the cafeteria and answering emails." And Julia said, "I was in my office finishing some tasks I didn't have time to do yesterday." Who should be Daniela's main suspect? Julia. She mentioned some tasks left from the day before, but it was Sunday. Daniela was spending her Sunday in a theme park when she heard 2 people arguing. It turned out they were arguing over the car keys left in the park's lost and found. Both were claiming them. Take a close look at them and decide who the keys really belong to. The guy is blind, so the car keys must belong to this woman. Daniela stayed in the park, and she had to crack some more cases that day. She needs your help, so have a look. Another lost and found item is this iPhone. Who do you think it belongs to? This girl's phone is in her pocket, so the iPhone most likely belongs to the other woman. And the last item is a Louis Vuitton purse. 2 girls are claiming it, but who is the rightful owner? Look, the purse has a keychain with the name Ella. It's the name of the girl on the right. At least that's what her name tag says, so the purse must belong to her. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and not to let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these IDs and figure out who isn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. What would you say about this man? Don't let him in. The man was born on the 3rd of February, but this date doesn't even exist. It must be a fake ID. Okay, here's the next candidate. What's your verdict? He seems fine. He can come in. Okay, here's the next guest. In or out? What do you think? She seems fine for me. Okay, next. Luke, what is your decision regarding this one? Look, in the picture the woman has a birthmark on her cheek, but in reality she doesn't have any. That's suspicious. Don't let her in. Okay, another one for you. Look, the city isn't specified here. It just says Nevada. It's not what other IDs look like. So this one must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. And what about this girl? Would you let her in? She seems alright. Green light.
Katie and John went on vacation together to an exotic location. In their first week, they booked a tour to the desert. But during the tour, the couple got lost. They were really thirsty, so they decided to go look for some water. Soon enough, the couple came across a huge oasis. But to reach the main waterfall where they could drink some water, they had to cross a bridge. But there were 3 bridges leading to the same place. The first bridge was high above the ground, and the ropes holding it looked as if they could rip at any second. The second bridge had some hungry-looking alligators crawling all over it, and the last bridge stretched over a lake full of poisonous water plants. Which bridge should they choose? The last one. The bridge stands high above the lake. Katie and Jake won't have to touch the water and the plants when crossing it. Luckily, they had radios with them, so they sent an SOS signal to their guide. The guide told them to sit tight. He promised the guys that a rescue team would be shortly on its way to help them. In a few hours, 3 rescue teams reached Katie and John. The guys got suspicious and asked the members of the team who had sent them. The first team said that they'd heard on the radio that a couple had gotten lost in the desert and had come to help them. The members of the second team explained that the hotel the guys were staying at had called the police for help. The last team said they'd received a radio signal saying the couple had been in distress. They immediately came to the rescue. Which team should the couple trust? The last team. John and Katie sent a message to their guide as soon as they got lost, remember? Back in the hotel room, John and Katie found out that someone had broken into their safe. The couple called the police and told the inspector that a few $100s and an expensive watch had been stolen from the safe. In less than a day, the inspector had 3 suspects. The first suspect was Bella, their tour guide. Bella said she'd been really worried about the couple's disappearance and hadn't left her room. The second suspect was Claudio, the hotel manager. He told the inspector that he hadn't even known that the couple had been missing. He was sure they'd been staying in their room this whole time. The last suspect was Bob from the rescue team. He told the inspector it wasn't him. It was the first time he had set foot in the hotel. Who is lying? Claudio. Look at his wrist. He's wearing a very expensive watch that looks exactly like the watch that was stolen. Plus, look at his pocket. He didn't do a good job at hiding the stash of money he'd stolen. After the crime was solved, John and Katie decided it was time to head home. As soon as they arrived at their house, they tried to open the new suitcase they had bought during the trip. They tried several number combinations but couldn't figure out the code. Luckily, Katie remembered she had saved a note on her cell phone. This was the tip she wrote down. 682. One digit is right and in its place. 614. One digit is right, but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are right, but both are in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. One digit is right, but in the wrong place. Can you figure out what the 3-digit code to open their suitcase is? (042). The following weekend, Katie's friends invited her to a picnic in the forest. But when she arrived at the agreed place, she didn't see any of her girlfriends. Instead, she saw a large group of people standing in a wide clearing. Apparently, she had come to the wrong location, but right before she left, she noticed that 3 of these people weren't human. Can you spot them? Look at the way that girl over there blinks. This doesn't look normal, does it? And look at that granny's cane. It's part of her body, not a separate object. And that guy is charging his phone using a cable connected to his leg. Yikes! On a rainy Saturday night, John and Katie decided to stay in, order pizza, and watch the Riddle channel on TV. On the screen, there were two women. The first one was stuck inside a cage hanging above the ocean, filled with sharks. The other woman was tied with a rope, hanging over a lake with piranhas. Both ropes were about to break. Who has the best chance of surviving? It's lady number 2. The first lady is stuck inside a cage, so she has no way to escape. If she falls into the water, she will most likely not survive. But lady number 2 has both her hands free, so she can try to climb the rope before it tears. The next morning, John went to work. As soon as he arrived at the office, he saw that his colleague Susan was very upset. She said that at one point she had gone to the bathroom, but when she came back, she discovered that someone had stolen her pearl earrings she had kept inside her drawer. John promptly undertook an investigation. The first suspect was Gertrude, a saleswoman. She said she was in a meeting with the CEO and nowhere near Susan's famous pearl earrings. The second suspect was Britt, an IT guy. He said he'd been fixing the company's software all morning. And lastly, John questioned Brian, the CEO, who said he had spent the morning at his daughter's ballet recital. Can you tell who's lying? It was Gertrude. Gertrude's account contradicts the CEO's statement. And plus, look at those pearl earrings she has in her desk drawer. They look somewhat familiar, no? John went back to his desk and started working. Later that evening, a massive power outage made all the lights in the building go out. John heard footsteps approaching him. The next thing he knew, he felt dizzy. He passed out and woke up in a tiny room with a metal door. John tried to open the door, but it was locked. He noticed that next to the door, there was a little device with a red sign that asked for a password. Below the device, there was a piece of paper with the following hint: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. John read the note aloud several times before he finally figured out what the password was. Can you guess what password he typed? He typed in 1 time the number 2, 3 times the number 4, 5 times the number 6, and 7 times the number 8. Phew, that wasn't very obvious, was it? One afternoon, John was walking down the street when he came across a dog. The dog had a collar with its name on it, and a part of its leash was still attached to the collar. It looked like the dog had just run away, so John picked it up and started searching for its owner. He walked into a pet store, and there were 3 people standing near the counter. John took a quick look around and knew immediately who the owner was. How did he figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. A ripped leash is hanging out of his pocket. He must be the dog's owner. On a beautiful morning, Katie and her friend went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they needed to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across the river. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time. But they were on the opposite banks, and after Katie arrived at the other side of the river, her friend managed to get to the opposite bank too. Look at these maids attentively. One of them is richer than the other. Can you figure out which? Even though the maid on the left is in a luxurious apartment, she just cleans it. But have a look at the maid on the right. She has an expensive watch on her wrist. She is definitely richer. Look at these students. Who's cheating? The guy in the front row, he's balancing an open book on his foot. Mrs. Lawrence went missing on Friday. Her husband informed the police and they started an investigation. The last person to see the woman was a shop assistant in a jewelry store. She confirmed that the woman wearing a red dress and red shoes had bought a necklace that day. On Saturday, Mrs. Lawrence called the police herself. She whispered, "I'm locked in some house. I managed to find a cell phone, but I may be discovered at any..." The call got suddenly interrupted. The police officer who had been talking to her managed to track the call, but she could only figure out the street. Look at the houses in the street and try to figure out where Mrs. Lawrence is kept. She must be in this house. Look, there's a tiny piece of red fabric on the fence over there, and Mrs. Lawrence was wearing a red dress. Ten witches met up for their annual coven. The head witch looked at the rest of the group and exclaimed,
According to the laws of our community, we can't live among people or communicate with them. And still, one of you has broken this rule.
"Look at the witches and find out who it is." It's the witch in the purple hat. There's a smartphone in her pocket. Three friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek, but it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends. She easily found Mark, but even with his help, she couldn't locate Kathy.
Uh-oh.
Can you help Lauren find her friend? She took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Ew. Discover the Sun was a very popular travel agency. It sold package tours to the hottest and most exotic destinations. But one day, the police found out that this company helped criminals flee the country. They also learned the exact date when it would happen the next time. On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island. But the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. Look at their bags and say who the criminal is. It's the young woman on the left. If she's going on a package tour to a hot place, why does she need a winter jacket? Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever. Her friends gave her a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. Jacob's girlfriend, Nicole, loved riddles. One day, she was on a business trip to France. She called Jacob and told him it was her relative's birthday. "Could you go and congratulate my family member, please?" When the guy asked her which relative he had to visit, Nicole answered, "It's the daughter of the only son of my grandfather." Who is this mysterious relative Jacob is asked to congratulate? It's Nicole's sister. Ms. Lopez took her students to an art museum. Half an hour into the excursion, a worried museum worker came up to the professor. He told Miss Lopez that one of the exhibits, an ancient vase, had been damaged. The culprit was most likely one of the students. Only 3 of them came close to the vase. Maria said, "After I looked at the vase, I noticed my makeup was smudged. So I went straight to the bathroom." Anthony replied,
I didn't touch the exhibit. After looking at it, I went to the next room to see dino skeletons.
And Nathan said he'd been following Miss Lopez, taking notes. One of these students is lying. But who? Anthony. There are no dinosaur bones in the art museum. Tyler made a bet with a friend that he could get out of any locked place. The next thing he knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would fill the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism. It'd make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage. Matthew has only black and white socks, but he keeps them all mixed. One evening, the guy is in a hurry. He's getting ready for a date. Suddenly, the power goes out. Now it's completely dark in the room. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in the drawer. How many socks must he pull out of the drawer to get 2 matching ones? Just 3. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 socks of the same color. Dennis, Maria, and Julie were at a party. They decided to play a game. There were 5 hats, 2 red ones and 3 yellow ones. The friends closed their eyes, took a random hat each, and put them on their heads. Then they opened their eyes and looked at one another. Each of them had to guess what color the hat on their head was. Dennis and Julie said they didn't know, but Maria exclaimed that she knew the color of her hat. What color was it? It was yellow. Maria saw that Dennis and Julie were wearing red hats, and she knew there were only 2 of those. You need to take 2 apples from your garden and bring them to your friend, but she lives on the other bank of the river. To get to her house, you have to cross a bridge. It can hold your weight and the weight of 1 apple. If you try to step on the bridge with 2 apples, it'll collapse. And the water in the river is swarming with piranhas. What can you do to bring your friend 2 apples if you can only make 1 trip? You should cross the bridge while juggling the apples. Ben woke up in a hospital. He only remembered his name and nothing else. A doctor came in to check on the guy. He said 3 young women were waiting to see Ben. The women came in. Strangely, each of them claimed to be the guy's sister, but only one of them is telling the truth. Who was it? The one girl in the middle. She has a birthmark on her hand, and Ben has the same. 2 roommates, Hannah and Megan, were walking home after doing their weekly grocery shopping. Hannah kept complaining about how heavy her bags were. Then Megan told her, "I don't understand why you're upset. If you gave me one of your bags, I would have twice more bags as you do. And if I gave you one of mine, we would have the same number of bags." How many bags were the girls carrying? Megan, had 7 bags, while Hannah was only carrying 5 bags.